In this video, we're going to cover two things. We're going to cover vibe coding, which has been huge lately. We're also going to cover how developers are writing software now using AI agents. You think AI is just for generating content or doing searches for us? Well, there's a lot more to it than that. We can also generate code that actually works. So let's dig into it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to start with vibe coding. So vibe coding is basically an AI wrapper and an agent all in one. So you're going to use a website that will generate a software application for you based on a prompt. So let's dig into a demo. A little bit about me first. My name is Matt. I'm your fractional CTO, and I've been doing this for a quarter of a century. I'm one of the OGs, I guess, and it's really interesting to see how things have progressed and at the same time how things are still a little bit the same. So it's interesting to see how this AI thing is going to play out. What's coding going to look like in 5 or 10 years? What's the landscape of work going to look like in 5 or 10 years? Is everyone going to lose their job? I don't know how that's going to be possible, but I don't know how it's going to continue as it is either. So it's not going to be the same, but I don't know what that looks like yet. So with that, let's dig into a demo. All right, here we are in a vibe coding tool. We're going to use Lovable for this. Like I said, Lovable and all the other vibe coding tools are kind of a wrapper and an agent all wrapped in one. In this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to build an app two ways. We're going to build one with Lovable, and we're going to build one with ChatGPT. Actually, specifically, it's going to be GitHub Copilot. So I have two prompts for the vibe coding. So what we're going to work on is I've done a lot of work in the rodeo industry, and who knew guys and gals on horses and bulls and stuff like that could have a lot of complexity in the software. So we're going to do just two little aspects of that is rodeo management and venue management. So each rodeo has a venue, and a venue can be with multiple rodeos. It usually doesn't, but sometimes it can. So let's paste in our first prompt. So we're going to have a rodeo management application. I'm not going to read this to you because you can read. And we're going to have a few fields that we designate for each of the different entities or models or objects, however you want to look at it. So we're going to create venues and we're going to create rodeos. So let's send that off and it's going to do its thing. And so as that's working, it does a lot of thinking, does a lot of stuff in the background. We're going to start working with GitHub Copilot. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to use .NET because that's what I've been doing for 25 years, or 20 years since it came out. Actually 23, 24 years. So this is our Git repo. We have a git ignore that was generated and a readme that was generated. So nothing in the directory that we're looking at. And we're going to run this little command to create a new application. And it created a directory and controllers and models and all that. Don't worry about all that gobbledygook. Basically, it created a website for us. We could run that website as well. And it's building it, and it created a bin folder for the binaries, and then it launched it. So here's our website. Beautiful. Let's check on Lovable. Okay, still churning. We can show all if you want to do that as well. Okay, so now what we need to do, let's do a commit. And the reason for that is so that we can isolate our changes that we're making. So we can have Copilot create a commit message for us, and I'll go and do that in the background, and I'll get my next prompt. And we'll commit that, and we're good. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in our prompt here, we have a new instance of GitHub Copilot here. We're going to copy this one in. The beginning is the same. Let's take a look at it. So here is what we pasted into the vibe coding tool, and then this is gobbledygook that developers understand. So we're going to use C# as our language, and we want to use a MySQL database, and we're going to name it whatever. So let's get that running. And before I do that, I need to pause this for a second because I need to recreate the database. So give me a second. Okay, I'm back. So let's run this prompt, hit enter here, and it's going to go and do its thing. So it does talk back and forth. There's another tool called Claude Code, which is really good as well. What I've noticed with that is a little more autonomous. This one, it'll pop up little dialog boxes here in the chat window, and it'll say, well, are you sure you want to do this? We're going to need to continue. So that's a nice feature of Claude Code. Like this, So if I do control enter, it'll add my NuGet package, which is like NPM. It's just a package management system. So let's go back over to Lovable, see what's going on. So if you want, you can dig through all this kind of stuff. It's using React for the front end. It's got a site header and app layout, all these different storage. TS is TypeScript. That's a strongly typed JavaScript. You probably don't care about that. And TSX also has some markup in it for the UI. So with a little bit of knowledge, you can understand what's going on. It's creating pages for rodeos and venues. Let's go back over to Copilot. All right. It's still doing its thing. I updated the project file. This is what it's doing in the background. Exciting stuff. Fix the conflict, do it. Okay, I don't know why it's needing to remove packages and add packages. We'll just let it do its thing and we'll see it at the end. Now, one interesting thing is, I was working on, in the rodeo space, there was a calculation that's been wrong for a while, and I had AI fix it for me because, I would make one change and then it would break something else. And so I had this unit test. I said, fix this unit test. Change the code, fix the unit test. Went through the changes. It was like a one-line fix, and it took about 20 minutes with some back and forth and some digging, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. So that was a great use of AI where it really helped me out. So I didn't have to debug a bunch of stuff. The team already tried to fix it. They couldn't do it. So I dug in and used all the tools we have. How's Lovable? So now it's working on styling the CSS file for the look and feel. All right, let's .NET build. So it's going to build it and make sure it doesn't have any build errors. We did a .NET run. So let's cancel this one. All right, now we'll try this again. Here we go. 0.6 of a second. We're just going to do it again. Oh, it's interesting. So since there was that running process, it did a task kill. So it was going to kill the task anyway. Let's check in the version. We're in .NET 9. None of the stuff anyone cares about except developers. So here we go. We're going to add a migration that's going to update the database. Okay, initial create. So if we look, we're going to create a table of venues. And then we're going to create a table of rodeos. Cool. So as you can see with this, we have full control over everything. It's not, one and done, and we just kick it off and it starts doing its thing. We're able to control, what type of database it uses, what language we're using. We have the full control over the tech stack and the code base. Yes, continue. Let's keep going. It's doing another build. Of course, it succeeded. Now it's going to add a controller, make sure the entities work. Okay, a controller performs the action between the UI and the database or any external services. So this gets the details of the rodeo. We're going to create a rodeo. So basic CRUD, create, read, update, delete. Everything looks normal so far. You can also set coding standards and things like that if you want it to follow certain rules or coding approaches. How's Lovable doing? All right. Try to fix null reference of some sort. It's using some node module. Yeah, there's so many node modules. I can't keep up with everything. No one can. So you just figure out what you need and go from there. I'm using ChatGPT 5. It says it was available, so I thought, hey, why not? Maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. We'll find out in a second. All right. Let's continue over here with our Copilot. One thing that's interesting is I don't do as much development as I used to, but when I am writing code, sometimes we'll split things off into separate projects. So we'll have a back-end project and a front-end project. So I can have two of these. We're in Visual Studio Code here. We can have two of these running, and then I can work on the front end, and then I can work on the back end, get one query going with the chat, and another one going with the front end and the back end. And then as those are working, I'm working on the other one, giving other prompts. So it's an interesting way to work. I think it's faster overall, and it will think of things that a developer may not think of. Okay, so I just did Control Enter to keep all these. So now let's go over here. Let's run this again. All right, it's running. Let's refresh. Okay, so view rodeos. If you notice, it created rodeos for us. That's nice. Claude Code did not do that. So we have the NFR, National Finals Rodeo, Cheyenne Frontier Days, Calgary Stampede, Fort Worth Stock Show, and Rodeo. Now, having worked in the rodeo industry for a while, I know that these are the 4 biggest rodeos in the country on any given season. So that's pretty cool. Let's view the details. So it just has some basic information back to the rodeos. We can create a new one. Let's see how that works. Test rodeo, because I'm super creative. We're going to pick a date. Let's pick the 14th through, I usually go through Saturday or Sunday. So let's go 16th and Fort Worth Stockyard. Did it work? Looks like it didn't work. Let's refresh this. Yep, still didn't save it for us. So one thing we can do is we can go into the developer tools, go to network. We'll create a new rodeo. My rodeo. What do we pick? The 14th and the 16th. Let's see if we create one without this. So it did add validation. That's good. And we'll clear this. We'll see what it's doing. This top one. We'll take a look at this one. So that's a post on the payload. Here's the name, start date, end date, and the venue ID. So that looks good. So it's sending the right information. It's just not saving it. All right, we'll close that out. Check out Lovable. All right, so here we have a full-blown app. What's it trying to fix? Okay. Hit escape. You can look at the code as well. It does the same thing with the red deleted, the green added. View on GitHub. I don't know if you can connect to GitHub. I haven't used this a whole lot other than just playing around with it. So let's see what else we can do. Files. So here are all the files it created for us. Excellent. Okay, so let's close that. Can't close it. Try to fix. Let's see what's going on. So let's go to rodeo. So it didn't create a rodeo for us. So we'd have to create a new rodeo and a new venue named Cowboy Arena. So there's an agricultural center here, Franklin. Nope. It refreshed it for us. Now the state is just an open field, so we'll need to fix that. So we'll save it. All right, let's go to venues. There it is right there. We'll say new rodeo. I know that was the beginning of summer, like June or something like that. We'll do the same dates, 14th through the 16th. Save the rodeo. All right. So here's a rodeo, and we go to home. Rodeo management made simple. I also picked a color scheme that is a little more rodeo. It has an arena here in the background, so very cool. Let's see. So I think the next thing we need to do is, I have a prompt over here. Let me find it. All right. So let's send it this. So we have a couple more changes that we needed to make. So we want to drop down for the state, and we want those U.S. and Canadian states and provinces. Start date needs to be before the end date. All fields are required. So if we manage rodeos here, let's take a look. If we edit our rodeo, how do we edit? Is there no way to edit? can only add a rodeo. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. So if we save the rodeo, everything's required. That's great. Let's see if we do the 14th, but if we have a start date that's before the 14th, what happens? Okay, that works. So that already added that validation. It didn't do that last time. So let's run this. Then we'll get back to our code over here. So what have we got? Is it working? Yeah, so let's commit these. Let's have it generate a message for us. All right, so it even knows what it did. So we're going to commit that. And then let's keep going through the app. All right. Okay, here's an interesting thing. So we want to run the migrations automatically. So if we get this going, actually, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to combine these two. So, and we're also going to singularize the table names. So let's run that. If you notice in the log when it's running, it has the database query that it runs. So if you want to geek out, you can do that for sure. Let's see what changes it made. Just specifies the table name as venue instead of venues. All right, how's Lovable doing? Still thinking. Let's show its progress. Now, if you wonder why energy is at a premium now, this is why. Everything that's doing, it's just churning in the background. They're offloading a lot of the processing to video cards instead of CPUs because they can work in parallel a lot better. Oh, we have our... I'll delete this. Continue. Escape. There we go. All right, still going. I'm rewriting my prompts here while it's working. Combining some stuff because with AI, everything is different. It's not exactly the same every time. It's not like copy and paste where you can just copy it and paste it. It's actually creating stuff for you. So I got my next prompt queued up, ready to go. So if you notice, this is a little tedious, but here's where the value comes in. I didn't have to find this place in the code. I didn't have to go down here and add that. In the program, let's see what it's doing. It's doing apply migrations. And then it created this database extension file for us. And then here's apply migrations. So I didn't have to write any of this. You know, it automatically put some debugging console output. So it's really quite handy. Let's close these up. .NET Run. Yeah, try to do it in the root folder. It needs to be in the child folder. We'll figure it out. It'll do a CD. There we go. And it knows we're on Windows, so it uses a semicolon instead of an ampersand. There we go. Donezo. All right. Now let's see what happens. We'll just do a bunch of letters. We'll do the 14th and we'll start on the 13th. Let's see what happens when we hit create. Okay, so we can still do that. Let's see what, still thinking over here. All right, so our prompt was specifically, updated the README. README file is something that developers can take a look at. So this is great. I added project structure. I missed that. How to get started. Oh, very good. Sweet. And we used to joke when I first started in development, like, how much time do we spend watching progress bars? Because we'd always be installing stuff and it'd be like, next, finish, and it'd just take forever. But now, how much time do we spend waiting for AI? It's going to be the same type of deal. Okay, automatic migrations and rename tables to singular form. That's what we asked it to do, if you remember our previous prompt. All right, we're going to commit that. Now, let's do our last one. So the last one is validation. Everything's required. Create date, start date, and end date. Start date needs to be before end date. Create rodeo doesn't work. And I'm doing this all in one prompt. I combined like 2 or 3. Data is not saving. Also, let's display the city and state next to the venue. So a lot of the people in the rodeo organizations, they go off of, well, it's San Antonio, even though it's called Frontier Days, or I don't remember the name, but they don't care about the name of the rodeo. They care about the city and state. So we'll have it do its thing. We will delete this. Let's delete all these so we don't have any conflicts. We can close this up and we'll let it do its thing. We can sync some changes because that's not going to break anything. All right. Now let's take a look at this. I implemented. Let's see what it did. Okay. Venues. Excellent. Abe has postal code, so let's Franklin Ag Center. Oh, I don't know the address. All these Franklins, that's a good zip code, and we'll save it. All right. And we'll delete this. Well, how do we know which one's which? We don't. So let's, we're going to go off the code. We're going to go rogue here. Let me do some text to speech. In the venue display for under all venues, please add all the additional information. So we need name, address, city, state, zip. And add a way to edit a venue. There you go. Oh, it looks like I ran out of credits. So I am using the free version. I don't use this enough to pay for it. But it's a cool tool. You can see, let's dig and see what it's got for us. So if we go home, we can manage rodeos. So we asked it to remove the venues. So it's just not available there. It is up here. So we can manage rodeos. Let's add Franklin Rodeo. We'll select a venue. So we can't, let me save the rodeo. So we have a couple rodeos here. They're duplicates, obviously. Let's make one here. 2 Saturday. Funny it said it's required even though it was selected. If you notice, it didn't clear out the venue. So a few little bugs, but overall it works. You can even publish it. And then you can have Buck Buddy. Okay. All right. You can even add a custom domain. So it's great, but you don't have control over the code. So if that's important to you, if you want a specific tech stack, you're not going to be able to use it. It'll use what it uses. So that's kind of the drawback. So let's see what we're doing on here. or building. You'd think it'd figure it out. It didn't remember how to change the directory. Good news, it built. Yay. All right. Okay, now let's see if what we've got. I kind of forgot what we told it to do. Let's see. Oh, validation. That's right. Oh, it changed the look and feel for it. Here we go. So we have Fort Worth Stockyards, Calgary Stampede Grounds. Okay, very cool. Let's go to NFR. It's in the Las Vegas. Back to rodeo. So there's no way to edit anything. Create new rodeo. Select a venue. All right, so let's try August 14th and August 13th like we did before. Create a rodeo. Still doesn't work. It's still working. Create the edit view. Continue. It keeps trying that. All right, added some README comments. Excellent. So let's see what it did. Okay, adds a success message. Here's some CSS changes. Yep, that's good. Let's see what edit does. Okay, so we'll just remind it that it's in a different directory. All right, what do we got now? We've got automatic migrations. So anytime we make a change to the database, when we run the app, it'll update the database. It sounds like a dumb thing, but you don't have to manually do it. Let's commit that, and then we'll fix the create. Right, because it's not working. Oh, it's not running. Uh-oh. There we go. All right, so we got it running again. Oh, we've got edit. That doesn't do anything. So we'll add a 2. We'll update it, see what happens. Did it work? No. All right, we'll let that run. I remembered to do the cd command. Only because I told it to. All right, I was trying to bind to a port that was already open because it was already running. So this is where it comes into play too. It's adding some debugging to the controller to see what's happening. This is really handy because it saves so much time because it'll log all this stuff, and then when you're done with the debugging, you can say remove the debugging, and it removes it, and then you go on your way. Debugging is tedious. Even if you launch the debugger, it's still hard to kind of figure out what's going on sometimes. So with something simple like this, it's not a huge deal. All right, come on. Kind of takes a long time. I saw a competition where a bunch of real programmers went against AI programmers, and this one guy was able to beat the AI programmers. It was like a 10-hour coding competition. Yeah, I would not have been able to do that. That's That's pretty wild. Let's go to the controller, what it's doing. So it's going through all the validation errors. It's not valid. Let's write all the errors out. All right, let's take a look. So it's actually doing a little port scan to see if 5208. So we were on 520, so I changed the port for us. Coming soon. All right. Let's do 2, update rodeo. Still didn't work. I'll open the browser right here and in our development environment. So this is one of those things where we can have AI do it, but it might be quicker to fix it ourselves. So having a developer who knows what they're doing is very important still. One thing to note too, we're in agent mode instead of ask or edit. That's what will actually go and do stuff for us. All right, so did it work? I don't know. Edit rodeo to update rodeo didn't work. All right, so I think this is where we end the demo because we've been doing this for a little bit. I think it's great to a point still. You know, we've got a lot of things that aren't working, like it can't do basic CRUD stuff. But if we look at Lovable, it did a lot quicker. So let's have a little overview. Okay, if you made it this far, good for you. Congratulations. If you skipped to the end, I don't blame you. We ran into some issues, but that's okay. There's never been a demo I've ever given that didn't have issues. Hopefully it was insightful. So here's what we learned. We used Lovable. It got us 80-90% of the way there. Really easy. Did 3 prompts, and we had a working app. We used GitHub Copilot. It got us a little bit less, but it took many more iterations. Requires someone who knows what they're doing. A non-coder could not go in there and do what I just did, even the part I did do that it didn't work. So keep that in mind. Here's where Lovable is great. It's like taking an Uber. You want to get to LA and you're in whatever. Like you need to go someplace. You kind of know where you want to go. You don't care how you get there. You just want to get there. And there you go. You want to go to the beach. Maybe that's a better one. It may take you to a different beach though. That like if you want to go to beach A, it might take you to beach B. So you may not know, and you may not want to go to that beach, but you won't know until you get there. And with Copilot, it's more like driving the stick shift. You're in control of everything, and writing code by hand is almost like building the engine and driving a stick shift and things like that. So it just comes down to what you want to focus on. If you want an MVP quick to market, you don't care the tech stack, Lovable is probably the way to go. If you want a production-ready code base, that might be a good place to start, but then you're going to want to finish it and tweak it with an AI agent like we did in Visual Studio Code. Hope you found this interesting. You have any questions, you want to pick my brain, there's a link in the description. Book a call with me. I'll include links as well to Lovable and GitHub Copilot and VS Code, Visual Studio Code, and you can try things yourself. Everything's open source now with development, so there's very few things that you can't try on your own if you're so interested. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.